We're now joined by Dr. Nihara Kraus, consultant clinical psychologist and founder of STEM4, which is the group that did the research, and our very own Dr. Hilary as well. Lots to unpick here, isn't there? So, Dr. Nihara, you conducted this research. How did you conduct it? Because I think everyone's going to be blown away by the scale of this. 4 out of 10, so nearly 50%, basically, of youngsters between 12 and 21 who either have taken, are on, or will be prescribed antidepressants within that period. Tell us how you conducted the survey.
Well, we conduct regular surveys. In April this year, we had a 1,000 GP survey, which indicated that GPs were very concerned about a lack of resources for young people. And based on that, we then sampled a national sample of 2006 young people aged between 12 and 21.
And they hadn't necessarily got mental health issues or been seeking advice, they were a general sample. Did it shock you? The scale of it?
The prevalence of mental ill health has certainly been rising, and that is higher than the national statistics that were reported towards the end of last year. It didn't shock me because as part of my clinical practice, but also as part of the charities work, we are constantly approached by young people who say that they are experiencing poor mental ill health.
Can I just ask how contemporary this is then? Because supposing you'd done this survey 10 years ago or 15 years ago, would you have got the same result, do you think?
I think it's very hard to say, isn't it? But what we do know is that there has been very gradually, historically, a lack of services for young people. And so I think that this is more of a recent phenomenon.
OK, so Hilary, just one second. So Drew Cocton, Hilary, sorry.
No, carry on.
Drew Cocton had a positive experience of being prescribed antidepressants, and I don't think anybody's saying that it's a bad thing if it's the right thing to make use of that chemical facility for people with mental health issues. I suppose what the impression is created by that large statistic, though, is that somehow doctors are handing these out like sweets because they have to. Is that the reality?
Well, we've heard that antidepressants have a place. They certainly were positive for Drew. Whether we're prescribing more because there's more mental health illness in the population or not, it remains to be seen. However, it is the case that when GPs are faced with a young person with moderate to severe depression or anxiety, we have to step in and do something. And the reality is that the ability to refer and get a child seen for talking therapies and CBT is simply not there. The waiting lists are enormous. Lengthy in different parts of the country. It could be several months.
Wow.
And if, particularly with a young male, there's a risk of suicide, GP is damned if he doesn't, damned if he does. If he does, he's accused of over-prescribing, and if he doesn't, he could be facilitating something
totally
tragic.
Understand that dilemma, but look, you've been in practice for a long time. You must be shocked by this. I mean, because the thought, for example, our children left school years ago, but the thought if I'd gone to pick up Jack or Chloe from their school in North London, that almost half of the kids streaming out of the school gates, whether either had been on or were going to be on, proper antidepressants, I wouldn't have laughed, but I would have said, no, that's completely nonsense. This must be a fairly new phenomenon.
Oh yeah, it's shocking that the result of the survey. I mean, this NHS data says that it's 41% increase in the last 6 years of prescribing antidepressants.
41% in 6 years?
In 6 years.
Right.
So when you look at the difficulties faced by young people, you look at the pressure at school, you look at abuse, discrimination, and trauma, and uncertainty about the future.
And social media, big stress factor.
Big hatred of mine. You've got to see that they're under huge stress, and if they can't get the talking therapies, the ability to offload the stress that they're under, GPs are saying, well, this person is seriously, they're not sleeping, they're not eating, they're self-harming, I have to step in and do something. Meanwhile, waiting for the referral, which could take several months and could be some distance from home.
This
is a problem we're facing.
It's absolutely, and I think that the GPs that we surveyed told us that for anxiety and depression, between 60% to 100% of their referrals for specialist services were turned down. So they really have got an issue in terms of what they can offer their unwell young people. GPs are extremely concerned.
So if you're a parent What do you do?
I think the first and the most important thing for parents is to try and keep a connection going. Not always easy when you've got a young person who's growing up, wants to keep their, privacy, but keep that communication going. Try and read up about some of the early warning signs. If you are concerned, do please visit your GP, have that discussion with them, and I think keep asking for some sort of support and help.
You did this survey for GMB, and thank you for that. I'm not in the business of commissioning surveys for GMB. I haven't got the authority, but I would love to see a survey on how much social media is implicated in mental health issues for young people, because my suspicion is that it's a very significant factor, and ties in with this rise over the last 6 years. That seems to me to be the big factor.
We do have a government statement, actually. A government spokesman gave us this statement saying that we are committed to ensuring children and young people struggling with mental health problems receive the treatment they need. We're continuing to take action to support their mental health, including providing £79 million to ensure 22,000 more children and young people can access community mental health services. Does that bring you any comfort, hearing that?
Yes, no, absolutely. I think that there is a change in terms of investing in community mental health and also mental health in schools, but we're not close to that. So it's also what we do to current young people.
And the reality we're losing staff rather than recruiting them at the moment. So
well, look, I'm scripted here to say if you've been affected by any of the issues we've been discussing, well, the fact is, if it's 4 out of 10, there are lots of you that have been affected by these issues. And if you have, you can find advice and support at itv.com/helplines. I'll give you that again. It's itv.com/helplines.